Maria, you want me over on that side too?
No, you can stay where you are.
Thank you for coming. I want to let you know at the outset that you will receive press releases at the conclusion of this press conference that will outline everything for you that I'm going to say. It would be a gross understatement to state that there's an interest in this case, but we do not make our decisions in any case that we evaluate based on public opinion. We let the facts and evidence guide us, and the only thing that guides us and steers us are the facts and evidence, nothing else. 13 days ago, 19-year-old Renisha McBride was involved in a car accident in Detroit. At the accident scene, witnesses reported that she was bloodied, disoriented, and appeared to be confused. She left the scene on foot. Hours later, her lifeless body was found by the police near the porch of a Dearborn Heights home. She was found with a very large gunshot wound to her face. It's alleged that she was shot to death by the homeowner after she knocked on his locked front screen door. By all reports, she was unarmed, and there were no signs of forced entry to the home. Today, I'm announcing the following 3 charges against 54-year-old Theodore Paul Wafer, W-A-F-E-R, the Dearborn Heights homeowner. Murder in the second degree, which carries a penalty of any term of years up to life in prison, is the first count. The second count is a manslaughter charge, death by a weapon aimed with intention without malice, which carries a statutory maximum penalty of 15 years in prison. And the third and final count is possession of a firearm during the attempt to commission or commission of a felony, which is a mandatory 2-year term which must be served prior to any time being served on any other convicted offense. We obviously do not feel that the evidence in this case feels that the defendant acted in lawful self-defense. Before I go on to explain what the Michigan law is, I want to introduce the people to my left and your right. And I'm going to have them actually introduce themselves. And I'm going to start to my left and your right. And if you say very loudly where you are from, your name, and spell your last name, please.
Captain Jeff Sapinko, S-E-I-P-N-K-O, Dearborn Heights Police Department.
Loudly, please. Go ahead.
Captain Daniel Valtatorni, Dearborn Heights Police Department, Patrol Division, D-O-L-T-A-T-T-O-R-N-I.
Detective Sergeant Stephen Gurka, it's G-U-R-K-A, with the Dearborn Heights Police Department, and I'm the OIC on this investigation.
Also in charge.
Chief Lee Gavin with the Dearborn Heights Police Department. Gavin, G-A-V as in Victor, I-M.
Jerry Dorsey IV, Chief of the Trial Division, Wayne County Prosecutor Attorney's Office.
Danielle Hageman Clark, H-A-G-A-M-A-N-C-L-A-R-K, the lead attorney in the homicide unit here in the prosecutor's office.
Terry Anderson, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney in Wayne County.
Athena Syringas, Director of Homicide Unit, Wayne County Prosecutor's Office.
Robert Stevens, S-T-E-V-E-N-S, Deputy Chief, Special Prosecutions Unit.
Danielle Hageman Clark and Terry Anderson will be prosecuting this case. The Michigan law is as follows, and this is a summary on self-defense in this case. There is no duty to retreat when you're in your own house, but someone who claims self-defense must have an honest and reasonable belief of imminent death or imminent great bodily harm to himself or another person. And the use of force is necessary to prevent that imminent death or imminent great bodily harm to himself or another person. The arraignment is supposed to be scheduled for this afternoon, but I would leave it to you to check on that. That's the information that we have been given. So I'm available to answer a few questions from you at this time.
Mr. Prosecutor, does this come down to the statement that Mr. Wafer gave police? There are only 2 people there, and the 19-year-old was deceased. So does it really come down to his statement to establish whether he was in fear of his life and that was reasonable under the circumstances?
I make it a habit to never quantify or put in order the importance or lesser importance of evidence. We evaluate our case based on all the evidence we have. So it's that and all the other evidence we have in this case.
Ms. Worthy, was this a stand your ground case?
Again, this is a case where, and the Self-Defense Act, which changed Michigan law on self-defense in 2006, doesn't call it that. But again, I'm not going to call it that, but the law is what it is in this state.
Is the race of the shooter and the victim relevant at all in this case?
No, it's not relevant at all. Not to our charging decision.
Were there toxicology reports done on the shooter, Mr. Wafer, and if so, what were they and what were the results?
To my knowledge, there was not a toxicology done at the time.
Had he had any prior run-ins with the Dearborn Heights Police Department?
That's not something I'm going to answer at this time.
Can you tell us more about what happened in that confrontation in that moment? She
I
knocked on the door. What happened?
I have given you all the facts I'm going to give you at this time. All the other facts will come out at a trial or an examination if it's necessary to come out at an examination.
Did they know each other before the confrontation?
Our information is that they did not.
Did he arrange at Dearborn Heights?
That's my understanding. It's supposed to take place sometime this afternoon.
Was there a toxicology done on Mr. Wafer?
Again, no. Not to my knowledge.
Do you know where she was coming from or going to that night?
Again, that's part of the evidence that will be presented at the appropriate time.
Can you confirm that 9/11 was called only after the shooting?
We only have the time of the 9/11 call. I cannot tell you anything at this time other than that.
Can you tell us what time the shooting happened?
Again, I can tell you the time that he called. That was at approximately 4:42 a.m. in the morning.
For the call?
When the police received the 911 call.
Is it relevant at all that she was inebriated?
We don't feel it's relevant to our charging decision at all in this case.
Have you been able to establish where she was in that time between pressing the car and showing up at work?
Again, all relevant elements will come out at the appropriate time.
Can you confirm that she went to another house before, and if so, did that have any bearing on your decision?
Again, any other evidence other than what I provided to you will come out at the appropriate time.
Is there a larger message here for people who have guns, people who have a right to own guns, and whether they feel threatened if they're in a similar situation? Somebody knocks on their door at 4:30 in the morning, they feel threatened. What is the lesson for them?
This is not the appropriate time for social statements, but all I can say is always wise if people know what the law of their jurisdiction is and what their rights and responsibilities are.
Were you clear on the answer about the stand your ground law? Does it apply in this case or not?
Again, that's not what they call it here. People have called it here. Again, the law is as I've stated, that there's no duty to retreat if you're in your own home, but you have to make sure that you have the. I'll just read it again for you.
Is there a reason why the home...
Let me answer her question, please. Someone who claims lawful self-defense must have an honest and reasonable, not honest or reasonable, honest and reasonable belief of imminent death or imminent great bodily harm of himself or another person, and the use of force that's used must be necessary to prevent that imminent death or great bodily harm of himself or another person.
And so you're saying Mr. Wafer did not have it?
I am saying that we do not believe he acted in lawful self-defense.
Is there a reason why the homeowner wasn't originally arrested?
Again, I'm not going to speculate about that. We can only tell you that the investigation has been done. There are still things that we're going to be doing, but it doesn't relate to our charging decision in this case.
Did you say that Mr. Wafer is in custody?
He is not in custody at this time. He is going to be turning himself in.
Is he been cooperative with you all?
I'm not going to. He was cooperative with the police. I haven't had any contact with him.
Will he be arrested or asked to turn himself in?
He's going to be asked to turn himself in.
What words can you offer the public who are focused on the race of the parties involved?
I can tell them that we make our decision based on the facts and the evidence. I don't know. It's always interesting to me what the public makes their decisions on when it comes to one way or another. We have the facts, we have the evidence, and we make our decision on that and that alone. And in this case, the charging decision has nothing whatever to do with the race of the parties. Whether it becomes relevant later on in the case, I don't know. I'm not clairvoyant.
Do you think he's a flat race?
That's for a magistrate to make, a decision for a magistrate to make. I don't. I wish I did, but I don't make bond decisions.
Where was he standing when he fired the shot?
He was inside of his house.
Was his weapon legally possessed? Did he own his weapon?
I believe so.
Do you know who opened the door before the shot was fired? Him or the?
The evidence suggests that he did.
Do we know who is representing him when he turns himself in?
I understand he does have a lawyer. I believe it's Cheryl Carpenter. That's the information that we have.
Ms. Worthy, can you give us a chain of events going back from maybe 1:30 a.m. when she walked away from Bramall and Warren until when this shooting occurred? Is it possible to give us some steps of fill in the blanks for those 2.5 hours?
I will not, because that's not really the purpose of a press conference. That's the purpose of a court of law. Okay, anything else?
Was there any, I know there's a national petition online to charge the individual involved. Did that have any influence on?
I haven't seen it. That's the first I've heard. We do not make our decisions ever on public opinion. That's just not the thing to do. The day that a prosecutor's office makes their opinion or makes their charging decision based on public opinion is the day that that prosecutor's office needs to shut down. We make it based on the facts and evidence, and that is all, period.
Ms. Worthy, what are your thoughts that this is being compared to the Trayvon Martin case?
I've been focused on 40 other homicides we've had in this town since October 1st, and all the other cases that we do.
How far away the gun was? Know that it wasn't happening.
Something that will come out at a preliminary examination or a trial if there is one.
Correct, you mentioned that there was a suggestion that she had knocked on the screen door. Is that?
Our evidence showed that she had knocked on the locked screen door.
Was
Yes.
that her only contact with the house? Her only effort to get his attention was that knock on the screen?
Again, that is the evidence. Well, there's evidence from both sides. So, no, that's not the totality of the evidence, no.
But there's no evidence that she was trying to break into the home.
There is no evidence of forced entry to the home.
Prosecutor, I'm sorry this is just an answer, man. Was the shot fired through a closed door or open door?
The shot was fired through a open door, but a closed and locked screen door.
The shot came through the closed and locked screen door?
That's not what I said. I said an open door, but a closed and locked screen door.
So the shot went through the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I went by the house earlier, and it currently has a plate glass front door where a screen would have been. So the assumption is that he replaced it then?
I don't think you can necessarily make that assumption, but that's one of the assumptions you can make.
That wasn't a screen.
Was the porch light on?
Again, I'm not being any more specific than that. Okay.
What has the homeowner told authorities?
Oh, that I can't answer that at this point.
Prosecutor, there have been conflicting reports that his gun, I'm not sure his lawyer said that the gun was discharged accidentally. Does that have any bearing on?
Well, those will be your conflicting reports, not mine. So, again, we base ourselves on the fact and the evidence, and anything else will come out in a court of law.
But the question is, if that went off accidentally, does that change anything with your decision?
Again, we have examined everything, and as a result of examining everything, we have made a determination that these are the appropriate charges and that he did not act in lawful self-defense.
Does the evidence show that the 911 call was placed immediately after the shooting?
I can't answer that. That's an interesting question, though.
Is it true that she was wearing a hoodie, Ms. Worthy, at night? There were some witnesses that said she was.
That sounds like some attempt to compare it to another case, and I'm not going to answer that. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Worthy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go back again.